I'm so pleased now to welcome a son of Flint into the war room, filmmaker Michael Moore. His 1989 documentary, Roger and Me, chronicled the rise and fall of Flint and was really a canary in the coal mine for what we're seeing today. Michael, thanks so much for being here.
Well, thank you very much for having me on, and thank you for all the years that you gave to Michigan to make things better. Just listening to your introduction of this segment now was difficult to listen to. What I know to be the truth. I still live in Michigan, so I'm very familiar with Flint and how desperate the situation is there. My uncle was in that sit-down strike in 1936-37, and I think I don't know. It's anybody watching this right now who went to college or got to put their child through college, or anybody who's living in a house, got a roof over your head, got 3 square meals a day, don't have to work this Sunday, got the day off. That was all because of what happened with that strike in Flint. That kicked it all off. That ignited the modern day labor movement, and more importantly, as you said, it really began, the modern day middle class began right there with that strike. The middle class was born in Flint, Michigan. And because of that, because of their striking and because of the union, people who heretofore had not ever thought about going to college or owning their own home or owning a means of transportation or being able to have a couple of days off or see a doctor when they got sick, all of that came from what my uncle and that woman's father and that woman herself did some 75 years ago this year. And, you know, Jennifer, this is the first show I've been on this week. I've not wanted to go on any shows because I've actually been just too upset and too angry at what took place in Michigan over the last 5 or 6 days. I want to make it a really, I mean, I'm sure your viewers most know what's going on, but this right to work, so-called right to work, you know, I love how the Republican Party comes up with these Orwellian terms.
Yeah, yeah.
My favorite one has always been right to life. They don't give a damn about life. Once that baby's born, it's like you're on your own, kid.
Yeah, yeah. They're
life,
pro-birth.
right to
pro-birth.
life. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're yeah. So the fact that these Republicans did this when a number of them were defeated last month.
Right.
And they know that the new legislature is coming in on January 1. They're coming in with enough Democrats and enough moderate, sane Republicans who have a majority and who would defeat this, who would never even propose it. And they think they can get away with this. They think they can go against the will of the people. The people spoke 5 weeks ago, and now they think they can just say, "To hell with you. We're going to do this. We're going to undo 70 years of labor history."
I know this is. I totally feel what you're feeling because it is very deep. It's a very deep thing. You know, just even thinking about Flint, its population is half of what it was in its heyday, and General Motors went from employing 80,000 residents to just under 8,000. And when you did Roger and Me, which was really a love story about Flint, and you told this story, you know, although it was in 1989 and Flint still even had some auto manufacturing then, I can see
50,000 jobs, 50,000 in '89, yeah.
And now it's under 8,000. I mean, how does it feel for you to have your you know, you were the canary in the coal mine. You're like a seer about what was going to happen. And does this
So what?
portend? Well, I mean, maybe so what? But
So
except
what? I mean, really?
that it's important
No,
to
but
be
I mean,
a voice.
Yeah. Okay.
For it.
Right. So I was a voice, and I made a great movie, and it had the largest box office ever in the history of documentary film, and Flint went right down the drain. While I'm very proud of that movie, I tried to tell people in Michigan, almost 25 years ago, that this was going to happen. And it was like banging my head against the wall. I remember I used to go down to the Flint City Council meetings, and I just had one or two friends with me, trying to tell them, look, General Motors has got a master plan here, and that plan is to remove as much production out of here and take it to Mexico and other countries, and you guys have got to get with it here, because it's the only jobs really in Flint. Is a one industry town,
right.
And if this goes, we all go. And instead, I was attacked by a number of people for why'd you make that film and make Flint look bad? And it's like, I'm just showing what General Motors has done to Flint. And at that time, remember, in 1989, we'd only lost 30,000 jobs. We still had 50,000 jobs. So,
Right.
so I've had to sit for the last 25 years and watch the steady decline. And I mean, and you came in and very heroically tried to put your finger in a number of the dikes that were springing all this water, but it was a flood. And
it was a flood, but I mean, that's the problem is, right, that we've got now, we now potentially have an administration in Washington that cares about keeping manufacturing jobs in the United States, but prior to that, under the Bush administration and under this laissez-faire, hands-off posture that the United States is taking vis-a-vis our competitors globally, there's no way we're going to be able to keep those kind of good-paying middle-class jobs in America. You need to have an active government to enable us to do that.
Right. Well, yes. And so we lost all those years. I mean, you had the unfortunate job of being the governor of Michigan while George W. Bush was president. So, but the Bush plan was part and parcel to what we're seeing now. And actually, before Bush, it happened with Governor Engler, the governor before you, who was there for, I don't know, how long was he there? 12 years?
12 years, yeah.
Yeah, but this really started with Ronald Reagan. I mean, this when he fired the air traffic controllers, from that point on, and this is why, and maybe we can talk about this in the next segment, because I'd really like to offer some constructive criticism to our fellow union members, Democrats, et cetera, of what we need to do now.
Yes, I totally want to do that, because it's got to be a call to action, and so don't offer it here, because I just want to ask you a question though, because I know you've said, if I heard you right, that you were done making movies, but I reject that, because even though you think that you were banging your head against the wall with Roger and me, if you leave the communication channels to only Fox News and those, there will be no voice for the other side. So I want you to do a sequel to Roger and Me.
Yeah, I'm really only one person, and the key word there is person. I'm a human being, and you can just really now listen. I'm not giving up. Believe me, I have plans. I will make more movies. I'm writing another book. I'm not going anywhere.
Oh, good.
But I have to say that each of these films I make, I tried to warn people with Bowling for Columbine that this gun thing is going to grow and grow and grow. These mass shootings. Now there's a mass shooting every week, and it's maybe the fifth story on the news. The mall in Oregon yesterday. So I do that, and then I made Fahrenheit 9/11 to point out in the first year of the war that we were being lied to about these weapons of mass destruction. And I mean, I was alone on that. I mean, people forget this, but people that voted for that war, and people who were for it. The liberal New Yorker magazine was for it. Bill Keller, the editor of the New York Times, was for the war. Al Franken was for the war. I think there was like 26 Democratic senators voted for the war. I mean, talk about when you try to do this stuff and you're attacked by your own people who are telling you, no, we must go to war. You know, I'm fed up, and I'm not giving up, but I am committed to seeing things change and not just making movies just for the sake of making another movie so people can do something for a couple of hours.
All right, well, stay right there, because I'm glad to hear you say that you're not giving up, even though I know for a fact that it's really hard being constantly attacked. But I want you to stay there because I want to leave this conversation with some hope. So stay there. We'll be right back.
Yes. Yes.